Hello and welcome to this week's live broadcast. Today we are going to be sharing with you how we work through goal setting with our kids and how we incorporate that into our family goals as well. So if you're joining us live, welcome. If you're catching this on the rebroadcast, either here on Facebook or uploaded to my YouTube channel, welcome as well. Please feel free at any time to leave a comment or a question for us. We always circle back and check all the comments and questions after this is broadcast live. Michael and I are super excited to share this with you today, and this is really where we want this particular Facebook page to go in sharing what it is we do in our family as a whole to really live a somewhat balanced and healthy lifestyle. And remember, healthy is not always just about what you're doing in your nutrition life or if you can run a fast mile. Healthy really does encompass the whole person and really creating a lifestyle where you can look and feel your best while living your life most authentically and not having all of those aches and pains and regrets and guilt eating away at you because you're not actually practicing all aspects of your life in a healthy way. So we have been doing this with our kids since early elementary school. I mean, it's just sort of what we do. It's kind of an exciting weekend for us. So our goal setting weekend is coming up this weekend in the fact that it's like New Year's for us. It's an opportunity for Michael and I to kind of, refresh our goals that we set maybe back in December. It's a great opportunity for our kids to really think about what they're planning on doing with their academic school year and how they want to encompass their life now that school's getting back in to swing of things and we're exiting out of the summer leisure mode. And so we're going to share with you exactly how we go about doing that. We do this for ourselves, and so it works for us, and so that's where we really decided to kind of help our kids do it as well. And we really do what would you say, expect or
have a certain expectation?
Have a certain expectation for what it is we want our kids to be able to accomplish in their elementary school, high school life. And we just came out of that with Logan, who we just pulled out his goals that we set for him a year ago, and he achieved all of them. And he's sitting in a very happy place now at SMU as a freshman with sophomore status at his school. And it was all because of the goals that he set for himself throughout high school. And so we're really hoping that we can do the same for Gabby. And we do feel that it is a gift that we are giving our kids, the gift of setting goals and feeling the rewards and reaping the benefits of working hard toward what it is that they say they want to have out of their life. So Michael, do you want to add anything else before we get started?
Well, I just think it's just been great for the kids, like Diane said, that just to get them in that practice of making a plan and setting some goals. And it's really amazing when they get into practice of doing that for themselves. So it's not like, I'm sure anybody listening to this, if you're a parent or a grandparent, you have to kind of, nip at your kids all the time to, you got to get this done, you got to do that, you got, but if they have set that plan and that goal in place of what they want, it's a different story because it's something that they're doing for them versus as a parent, you always, after them trying to get them to achieve what it is you think they should achieve. No, they should achieve what it is they want to achieve. And that's kind of what we have done with both Logan and Gabby. And it's been very successful. Do they hit every single goal? No. But, they'll sit down and revisit those goals and rewrite them or do whatever. But I would say they probably hit probably 98% of everything that they set out, they accomplish it. And it's not that our kids are any more special than anybody else's kids. They're special to us because they're our kids, but they're no different or no more special than any other kids. But I think doing this has allowed them to achieve some success that they've wanted to achieve in their school and in their fitness and in their life overall.
Right, and I think with anyone, it's never too young to teach boundaries and priorities and goal setting, and teaching your kids not to hope things will work out, but you actually put things on paper and then you work toward getting it is what you want out of life. And like Michael said, like kids don't know how to do that innately. You have to teach them, and you have to remind them, and you have to be on them. And we really do. We started that very early on in life. And, you know, even Logan going to college, and Gabby, she's, you know, going into the 7th grade. Our kids do their own laundry, and they've been doing their own laundry since they've been at the height where they can reach safely into the washing machine. And those are just those life skills that, you know, it's never too young to teach them, because there are kids in college who cannot do their own laundry.
We met some.
We met some of them. And that's just a basic life skill type of thing. Taking care of your room. Our kids are expected to make their bed every day before they come downstairs. Their clothes is in the laundry hamper. Their bathroom is cleaned up. And that's not like dictator-ish. That's life skills, because there are going to be times in life where you're going to be asked to do things by a boss or a teacher or a coach that you don't want to do, but you have to do it anyways. Or maybe it doesn't make sense to make your bed in the morning because you're going to be in it at night anyways, but that's life. And there's going to be things in life that you're going to be asked to do that may not make sense to you in the moment, but you learn the discipline, and you learn the routine, and you learn the boundaries, and you learn the respect of it. And then that just is how your life is shaped moving forward. And I know for me growing up, my grandmother would come to my house. She was raised in a I want to say nunnery, but it's not a nunnery. She was raised in a orphanage raised by nuns, because her parents passed away at a very young age. And my grandmother can make a bed with some mean hospital corners, and that bed is tight. And anytime my grandmother came to my house, the first thing she did was check that bed of mine and make sure I was making it properly. And to this day, I thank her for that, because it's just a discipline that I have been able to pull from in other areas of my life. And so we've passed that down to our kids.
You had to use that discipline for the military too.
For the military, yeah. That's why it made sense for me to be
a quarter up that bed.
My bed passed inspection first try. And there were a lot of women in the basic training with me who got kicked out because they couldn't follow basic instructions, and they weren't disciplined enough to understand why it is that a quarter had to be bounced off a bed. And it's not that the quarter off the bed mattered. It was that later on down the road, when you're in a situation where it's life or death, or you're sitting in a bunker somewhere, are you disciplined enough to follow basic orders or basic instructions? And so we're passing that basic stuff off to our kids. So this is what our goal sheet ends up looking like. This was last year's for Gabby. And I'm going to show you the tools that we use, and we save them every year, and we pull them out, and we do review them at the end of the year, or even maybe in the middle of the year, to see where they might be struggling, and maybe we set the wrong goals, and it's always okay to readdress them and go back and alter them. So this is what our board looks like. We just get a huge, it's like a white sheet board that you would see in an office meeting or whatever. Big pieces of white paper. We throw it on the living room floor. We all get down on our hands and knees and crisscross applesauce or whatever is comfortable for you. And we brainstorm and we brain dump what it is that we are hoping for the year. We have big old colorful Sharpie pens so everyone gets their own color, and it's super fun. The areas that we concentrate on are life, and within life, I'm reading how I have it set up for Gabby this year, so I can share it with you guys. So within life, we break it down to social, emotional, spiritual, and wellness. So we ask our kids what they want. We don't tell them what goals they need to set or even what verbiage they need to use. We ask prodding questions and get them to brainstorm how it is they see their life moving forward while they're in school. So Gabby will be setting her life goals for how she wants her social life to look. Like, does she want to have girls over to the house, you know, to play in the jacuzzi or barbecue? Does she want to have dates with her girlfriends? How does she want to interact with girls after school? We are a big no mean girl life in our family. So we really do try to help Gabby be that girl that is the friend to everyone at school. And so we really do practice a lot of that in that aspect of her setting her life goals. So socially, we'll ask her what she wants her life to look like at school throughout the year with that. We ask her emotionally how it is that we can support her. So where it is that she feels that she's going to get the most emotional strength, like does she need to go to bed at a certain time? Does she need to check in with us? Does she need us to help her in any way to stay emotionally balanced? And as a 7th grader, we're expecting some of this emotionally from her. And so we're going to really stay in tune with her as far as that goes as well. Spiritually, where does she want to go this year? And we're going to make sure that, you know, she's going to church regularly. We volunteer at church, and then doing a little bit of extra spiritual work at home as far as reading a daily Bible. She has a Jesus Calling book right next to her bed, and we're going to make sure that she gets that read every night just to make sure that she stays focused on that as well, because that is one of those things that you really have to help your kids build that discipline with. They're not going to do it on their own. And then the last one is wellness. So we have made a commitment this year for Gabby is to really work on her wellness and how it is that she's taking care of her body. Again, she's 12. She's going to go through some life changes. And what does that entail for a 12-year-old girl? So we're going to help her kind of walk through that and ask her where we can help her. We're going to really focus on helping her get her nutrition dialed in. We are a family who just doesn't do well with gluten. So we're going to be easing some of that out of summertime and back into the academic realm, and really help her get her nutrition and even her supplements dialed in so she can have the best functioning brain for the academic goals that she's going to set for herself, making sure that she's settled in and can concentrate and focus on the schoolwork that she wants to do, because we all have that problem in our house of really, you know, keeping our mind sharp and being able to sit down and really focus and concentrate. So our nutrition will be dialed in for her on that as well. And then we have the next category set up for her in school. And what is it that she wants to get out of school this academic year? She's in pre-AP classes. So those are classes that are a little bit more challenging than just the on-level classes. And how can we help her stay focused on her studies so that she can meet her goals? And we let her pick that. So if she wants to be a straight A student, we ask her specifically, how can we help you make sure that you stay in that straight A category? And then we set up boundaries to help her with that. Limited cell phone time, limited TV time. And then we make sure that she's okay with how we are going to step in and help her, so that when maybe she finds a time during the school year where her grades start to drop, or maybe she's struggling with getting her homework done, then we now have permission from her to pull back on some things, some free things that she has going on in her life to help her kind of center back on her focus.
Yeah, and that's really key. Like I said before, it's their goal,
right?
So it kind of brings them back to center really quick when it's their goal and it's not us just pushing them a certain direction.
Yeah, and we get their permission. So it's not like we are telling them this is how we're going to handle it. We ask, how can we help you stay focused on your schoolwork? How can we help you maintain those straight A's? And they give us suggestions, and then we write that down so that when things start to get lax around the house, we literally pull this paper out and we say, remember what you asked us to help you with? And then it takes us out of the category of being the bad guy and really just helping them with what it is they say they wanted for themselves. So putting it on paper and writing it down and letting them verbalize to you really does take the burden and pressure off of us being a bad guy or harping on them, and puts them back into realizing that that's what they said that they wanted in the first place. So school breaks down into academics, sports, and social and activities as well. So Gabby will be running cross country this year. So we've already kind of explained to her that, you know, cross country, I think, is 2 days a week of practice, which is not enough. A physical activity, and PE doesn't really count because PE is like a 50-minute class. That just doesn't constitute for enough physical activity for her body. So every day that she's not in cross-country practice, we are deciding for her that she has to run whatever it is the scheduled practice is for that week in cross-country. So she gets a rest day on Sunday. So she will have to figure out whether she wants to get up earlier and do that in the morning or do it after school. But every day, Monday through Saturday, she will have to run or do some sort of training to keep her body in shape to compete for her cross country. So that's going to be what she's going to be doing for sports. And then social activities, as far as she wants to do anything else at school, extracurricular, she can determine that for herself, and then we'll fill in with rides or social time or whatever it is we need to do to back her up for that as well. And then the last area that we really focus on for helping them set their goals is family. And not that they're in any particular order of priority, it's just kind of how we break it down. And family encompasses personal care in your personal space. So making sure that she understands that, yes, every day you wake up and you do make your bed and you make it well. You clean up your bathroom behind you. You make sure that your drawers are closed in your bedroom, your laundry's picked up and put in a laundry hamper, that your laundry is done before school starts. All of those things are her own personal self-care, but she has to be accountable to it every day, right? Mm-hmm. And that has really helped them too. You know, Logan just does his laundry at college. He doesn't have any issues with it. And if you don't have clean PE clothes, not our problem. That's your problem. You're responsible for making sure your PE clothes are in your backpack and that your PE clothes are clean. And if you forget your PE clothes, we do not run them up to you and rescue you. Forget your lunch, we do not run that up to rescue you. You have to be managing your own life and your own priorities and what it is you need to have to be successful within your day. We do not rescue you. You have to make sure that you're on top of that and you got yourself organized. And then household responsibilities. We have one less person in our house, but just as much to do. And so we are going to be going through a new chore list this weekend and divvying up some household responsibilities. And yes, you have an active role in our house. You do not get allowance in our home. And that's just something that we started a long time ago because you have a roof over your head and you have food in your belly and you have parents who are supportive and involved in your life, and we don't pay you to participate in that. So Gabby does chores around the house just because she lives here and she participates in the house trash and she participates in the dog and all of those kind of things. So we're going to be re-divvying up the chores this weekend since Logan is gone, and everyone's going to have a new set of chores this year, and you are required to make sure that you get all that done, and Michael and I take responsibility for some of those as well. And then community, Callie, and Logan. And we added Logan to the list this year because he's away. And we want to make sure that we stay focused and involved in his life, even though he's not living here anymore. And so we're going to make sure that we have on our schedule a time where we connect with him, even though he's outside of our family, and making sure that Gabby's taking responsibility for her dog as well. So going on walks and picking up poop and all of those things are family shared events. And how can we help her with her schedule to make sure that she has time for all of those things? And she will verbalize all of that to us as well. So it's a really great way to help your kids be successful, not only in school, but later on in life as well. I am always shocked when I hear about parents who are still doing school projects for their kids and still rescuing them at lunch and making sure that their PE clothes are rushed. No, you are responsible for your own life and you're responsible for your own things. And the best way to teach kids how to understand that is to teach them early and have them fail a little bit now when it's not going to be life detrimental, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're constantly rescuing your kids, guess what? You'll constantly be rescuing your kids, even when they're in their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s. And we really want to make sure that we're giving our kids the skill set to be independent, grown-up people and managing their own life. So the other thing that we wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully that helps you, this is something you can do with grandkids too. It doesn't have to just be with your kids in your own home. It could be something that you sit down and do with your grandkids and you say, hey, how can I help you this year with school? Do you have fundraisers maybe I can help you with? Do you have books you need to read that maybe I can sit and read with you, or even FaceTime if they live far away? It's not just something that you have to do with kids that you're raising in your own home. It can really be something that you do with kids living outside of your home as well, or maybe you can be a mentor to someone and help them with these type of goals as well. It doesn't have to be in your home. It could be FaceTime. It could be a daily connection. It could be a text message. Anything that you can do to just make someone understand that you're there for them and that you care about their future and you care about their overall well-being. And just pick a thing, whether it's reading a book with them. You can read over FaceTime. You can read over like a chat. You can do all kind of things to help someone be successful at any age, and geographic boundaries are no longer limitations to us thanks to what we have technology-wise. So last thing I want to do is share with you the book we are going to read. We do require that our kids read nonfiction books, life principal books or personal development books. Again, this served Logan really well, and we're really going to be incorporating this with Gabby as well, as far as helping her set goals and really understanding how you can prioritize things in your life and get what out of your life what you dream to have. I think was the biggest aha moment we had with some things we did with Logan. So the book we're having Gabby read to kick off the school year, probably the first quarter of the school year, is The Success Principles for Teens: How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. We found this on Amazon. Michael and I have been listening to and reading this book a little bit this summer. It's Jack Canfield's The Success Principles, same concept, how to get from where you are to where you want to be. So we have read this, and we will be helping Gabby read this one, so we don't expect her to read it on her own. We will be reading it with her so that we can have conversations with her about it. And the great thing about these books for teens is they are really broken down to where they're a lot easier to read. They're not just a bunch of text, so there's lots of color and pictures and stuff in there. And we'll be talking to her about how this stuff affects her life and how she can implement some of these things into her life. And then the other thing that we got to kind of help us just have conversations with her, because a lot of times when kids are in that middle school, high school age, it's really hard to just get them to talk about their day or talk about some of the things that they're struggling with, or even share the successes that they're having in their life. And so we'll be also using this book, which is called Success Affirmations. Again, it's all dialed into the success principles, and it is broken down into weekly sort of affirmations about what's going on in the book and how you can really incorporate these success principles into your life. And so we'll read these once a week. I don't know, we'll probably pick Sunday or something, maybe at dinner time, to read the affirmation and how we can apply that to that week's activities or whatever we have going on in our life that week. The great thing about this book is it's not dated, so you can just start it whenever you want. So we'll start at week one of school and really talk about how we can apply this to our life and how Gabby can incorporate some of these things into her life as well. So that's how we're going to kick off 7th grade in our house. Like I said, and Michael shared a little bit, we've been doing this every year with our kids since the very, very beginning. And the more, I think, interaction you have with your kids and their educational and academic endeavors, even sports endeavors, the better relationship you're going to have with your kids, the more successful they're going to be, and just the more connected and dialed in you are as a family. At least that's what we have found in our family.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because oftentimes I think when it comes to planning and your goals, it becomes kind of cliche, like, oh yeah, got to write down our goal, and you just don't really do it purposefully. But when you do, it really makes a huge difference. And if you're not doing that, it's almost like you're on an adventure. And what I mean by that is, if you ever take a trip, we just took a trip to Disneyland this past weekend, and there's a lot of planning and a lot of goals. I mean, our goal was to go to Disneyland and have a good time as a family. But to do that, I mean, if you think of all the steps and all, you got to have a hotel. How are you going to get there? You got to get into the park.
Have you saved enough money?
Yeah. Have you saved enough money? What are you going to eat? How's your nutrition going to be? Where are you going to stay at night? I mean, like, you have all these things you have to do, and we managed to get those things done. I mean, as adults, we managed to get those things done. But when it comes to things that we really want, why is it we can't just flat out put down some goals? Same thing for school, adults, whatever. Like, why is it so hard sometimes to just write down that goal? But when you do, I guarantee you're going to get to it because you've made a decision in your head. I'm going to do this, and you put it on paper. And like I said, if you got on a plane, and people do this, they go on adventures. Let's go to the airport. We don't know where we're going to go, but we're going to go to the airport. And people get on a plane and they'll go somewhere and they'll find a room, and they'll pick a place to go and find a place to stay once they get there. That's an adventure. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea, like, for your kids going to school, or you try to run your health and fitness life that way as an adventure. It should be run with some purpose and some measurable goals. And when you have that in place, things are going to get rough and bumpy along the road, like Diane said. And when it does, you have this foundation of a thing you can go back to. And if you don't have that, it's basically just an adventure.
Yeah. And life's fast and life's hard. And I think if you don't teach your kids how to manage the speed and the difficulty that life can bring, then that's where a lot of kids end up giving up. And that crosses over into your adult life, and you're constantly quitting short of your success because you didn't get past the struggle. You didn't get past the hard day. You didn't get past an obstacle that was in your way. And so I think when you do this with your kids early on and you sit down with them and you have them think about and verbalize what it is that they want and what it is that they need, when they get to that difficult point, they can ask for help, or they can figure out a way to maneuver their way around an obstacle and find a way to their goals. But it's practice, and it's actually putting it into play in your life. You can't wish for it. You can't hope it's going to happen. You actually have to make it happen. And it does start with thinking about what it is you want out of the next, 10 months of a school year. And there's no better joy for us as parents when you get to May or June, when your kids get done with that school year and they're beaming with pride and they're beaming with excitement because they did it. They actually achieved what it is that they said they were going to achieve. And it wasn't just like they just ended the school year. They can end it with pride, and they can end it with self-esteem that's lifted, and they can end it with an experience that they can look forward to when they start school again the next year. So
there's plenty of opportunity to not hit those goals. Like, for example, the stuff that Logan set for himself for the past 2 years before going into SMU, if he didn't have that all planned out, I guarantee you there were some rough patches that he could have easily just thrown his hands up and said, oh, forget this. I mean, there were some 3 o'clock nights, there were some family discussions, there was tears. There was like all kinds of stuff during those 2 years, and this last year trying to get prepped for, SATs, ACTs, writing letters, applying for scholarships. I mean, all the things that he had to do, and the late nights, there was plenty of opportunity to not get it done. But like we keep saying, if you're going back to those goals that you had written out, it kind of carries you through, and you don't throw your hands up and walk away.
Right. So again, just to recap, the areas that we really focus on as bullet points for our kids, we kind of break it up into 3 categories: life in general, school, and then family. And within that, we kind of created our own little subcategories. And you have to do what works best for you and your lifestyle and your family. But that has really worked well for us, incorporating the areas, subsets within those 3 big areas that really, help us bring out the best in what we know our kids have. And, making sure that you're incorporating the fun stuff too, and the social activities, and then teaching them how to put their head down and just work. And life is about work. And I think that that's one of the big things that we've really taught our kids too, is that, yeah, you can have fun, and you can relax, and you can kick back, and you can scroll your Instagram feed, but after you've done the work, and that you get the work done first. You incorporate that discipline, and then when you have all those boxes checked off, then you have the opportunity to kick it and relax. But if your kids are so used to the other way around, kicking it and relaxing first, and not really knowing what it means to put your head down and get your work done, that's when we really start to see, the teenagers start to crumble and lost opportunities when it comes to what they want to do after high school. And that's really sad when every kid, I'm sure, has a dream of what it is they want to do with their life. And if life gets messy in the middle, then they lose sight of those dreams. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than to see a young person not have the opportunity to live out the dreams that they wanted to at one point in their life, or to have it be a more difficult path because of choices that were made early on.
And it's really important to point out too that there's wiggle room with those goals, because with Logan's goals, and Gabby's goals, we tell them, like, hey, it's okay, like, if you don't hit these goals. I mean, you have to have some wiggle room in there, because, I mean, as we all know, I mean, kids are committing suicide, and they're They're under all kinds of pressure with the SATs and ACTs and all the stuff that they have to do. We've always told him, if you can't hit, I mean, if there's any time in there where you feel like you just cannot handle it, there's other ways to still be successful. You know, the things that he achieved were, you know, as high as anybody can possibly do, which is great. I mean, number 7 in his class and getting the kind of scholarships that he got to SMU is all great, but that's not the only way. I mean, there's other ways. Like if that didn't work out for him, I mean, kids can always go to the JC, and you can do that. You can go that. You can be just as successful as the route he's going on now. So there's all kinds of wiggle room. You have to, you know that when you're writing the goals, because sometimes these kids are under a tremendous amount of stress with what they have to do.
And that's a really good point. And I think the one thing that we've appreciated most about that is when you sit down with a blank piece of paper and some Sharpies and open up a discussion with your kids. And it's the discussion part of it, and the regroup every quarter when you go back and revisit them, and the being checked in with their schoolwork, and being checked in with their personal care at home, and being checked in with their social activities. I think that's the biggest win of all of this, is that you're purposely checked in with your family. And life, like I said, is hard and it's busy. And if we are checked out with our own work, and we're checked out with our own stresses, and we're checked out with our own things, and we never sit down on the floor in the living room with a blank piece of white paper and some Sharpies, then our kids' lives are going to zoom right past us, and we're not even going to know who they are and who their friends are and what they're involved in. So I think the biggest purpose of this exercise for us has been having that open communication with our kids, and having that relationship where they know we're invested in them, because we get busy too, and we could get checked out too. And if you purposely check in, then you're always going to be connected to your kids. And I think that's the biggest lesson that we had. And if you're feeling like you're losing the communication, just pull the paper out. Hey, let's talk about where you are with your goals. And that is really where I think kids are finding the most success. I know that even other families that we've talked to that do this, it's the connectability factor of it, and that you're giving your kids time, and you're paying attention to them, and you're asking them how they feel, and you're asking them how you can help them, and you're not just dictating to them how it's going to be. So you're giving them responsibility for their own life. And I think that has really helped us just in the overall relationship that we have with our kids.
Because you're going to get the resistance anyway.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're writing goals and, you know, we have great kids, and you know, we've done this practice for years, but it doesn't mean you're not going to run into issues and problems and have to rework some things, because you do, and it's not perfect. But
no. So hopefully this helps a lot of you. I know we've been getting a lot of questions about how it is that we helped Logan get to where he is with SMU, and I think he got $400,000 in scholarships or something like that, and it was work. So it wasn't, he didn't get it by luck. It was very methodical, and it was very purposeful, and he put his head down and he worked, and there was a lot of family sacrifices to get there, but it paid off in the end. And so Michael and I are going to, over this next quarter and next year, we're going to be sitting down and doing some videos about what it is you can do if you want to get your kids in that position where they can earn some scholarships, or they can maybe even just get an edge up in school. We learned a lot in this last 4 years with Logan in high school. We're going to practice that again with Gabby, but in a way that's going to help her and her personality, and teach you guys, or share with you guys, share with you guys what it is we did and some of the things that we learned along the way that were super helpful. So if you have someone in your life who, grandkid, kid, niece, nephew, whoever it is, neighbor, who really has some big aspirations for their lives academically, we are going to be an open book and share with you what we did with Logan and what we're doing with Gabby as well.
Yeah, and it's important to point out, I know a lot of you probably don't know a lot about Logan, but some of the things that he accomplished were kind of off the charts. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that is possible, because he's just a kid. Like when he started high school at Byron Nelson, he wanted to play football when we came to Texas. And we're like, okay, well, he's never played football before. So that plan ended up being a complete failure. You know, he's
And he regrouped.
He regrouped.
Yeah.
And he decided he was going to go the academic route. He was already straight A student, and he killed it. He killed it. You know, he got some amazing opportunities to all the schools he applied to. He applied to what, 5 schools?
Mm-hmm.
And he got offers to all those schools. And most of those schools were willing to pay, you know, mostly all of everything for him to go there. He finished number 7 in his class. He ended up getting a Hunt scholarship for SMU, which is a big deal. It was started out 500 or 600 applicants, and they narrowed it down to about 20. So there's 20 Hunt scholars in his freshman class. And I say those things, like I said, not to brag about him, but I'm saying those things that it is possible to get these things done by planning and laying out some goals, and
teaching life skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it starts, I always say it starts with making your bed and doing your own laundry, because those are just the disciplines in life, that it's that mundane, everyday task that really set the pace for studying vocabulary lists when you don't want to, or sitting down to study for your SATs, or writing that paper, or rewriting that paper, or, you know, reading the book you don't have any interest in reading, but you have to read it because your English teacher said, or whatever. And it just starts with discipline, and setting boundaries and setting goals, and then asking for help. And like Michael said, you know, our kids are great by our standards because they're our kids, but there's a lot better kids out there. There's a lot smarter kids out there. There's a lot more kids out there with more advantages than most kids have. And all of that, none of that matters. All that matters is that you're setting your goals and you're working toward them, and you put your head down and you work when you need to work, and then you lift your head up and you relax and you kick back and you have some balance and fun when it's time to have balance and fun. And we're going to share with you some of the things that we did to help our kids end up happy, Logan anyways, and we're going to work with Gabby now to do the same thing, and hopefully you guys will appreciate that, or it'll help you in some way if you're kind of struggling with some stuff with your kids in school as well. Okay, so thanks for listening to us. We're super excited to set our goals with Gabby this weekend. It'll be the first time she's been doing it with us by herself. And we're going to be setting some new goals for ourselves for the last quarter of the year as well. And we'll share those. We won't share Gabby's because those are going to be personal for her, but we'll share ours with you guys too. So if you need some help with your goals, maybe you can get some inspiration or some ideas from what it is that Michael and I will be doing as well. So as always, thank you for jumping in with us. I'm sorry I talked so much today. Michael didn't talk a whole lot, but what he says is always profound. So we appreciate it when he jumps in. And if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, or any of the books that we're using with our kids as well, always feel free to reach out to us or leave a comment, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you guys next Friday.
Maybe we'll talk about some more goals.
Maybe. Yep.
Have a good weekend.